everyone in a very open and a very in a very meaningful fashion. I think I've been preparing for these kind of events for nearly 20 years now, and I should have done more public conversations and more community talks than what I have done so far. I have been camera shy, and I have tried to sort of, be working behind the scenes. But I have been feeling an increasing need to to talk to people, to talk to the clients who come to me, to talk to my own family about the aspects that I have found. And those are the ideas that I hope to share, in a streamlined fashion with all of you. And that's the plan. So let's get rolling. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to just about figure out how to do it. Oh, I do have a presentation which I have prepared, and I was supposed to use, I think that I cannot screen share with you. That's such a bummer. Okay, so that's a bummer. I don't have a screen share possibility with you. If anybody knows how to do it, do let me know. It did give me the option when I was planning this. Okay. Or if somebody can Google and let me know how do I do a screen share with Facebook Live. I'm sorry, I should have figured this out. I did make an assumption that I would be able to do both. Okay, it is what it is. So I wanted to talk to everyone about a few things. And I wanted to share and dedicate this Sangha to my mama, my maternal uncle, who just passed four days ago. And, his life had demonstrated to me very solidly what is selfless love, what is generosity of heart, what is compassion, what is contentment, what is jealousy-free living, what does it mean to be bold and to stand up against injustice, and also he had an ability to find time and resources for everyone who was less fortunate than him. And he has done this all through his life. So he was watching him has been instrumental in my making, and I hope that his energy really drives this Sangha. He touched people just by a morning stroll, and people felt belonged when they were with him. So it is the same spirit with which I initiate this Sangha today, the day following the World Health Day, on World Health Day of 2021, which was yesterday. there are four things that I want to talk to everyone about. First is the reason of this Sangha. The second is a very fundamental conversation about what truly is Ayurveda. Third, we will discuss a community request. Bhakti had requested me to talk about malabsorption. And also then we'll talk about the next steps. Okay. So the reason for the Sangha, okay, I'm getting messages that the live video has not started yet. Okay, I guess people are going to see it when they see it. Okay. So the reason for the Sangha is to convert a monologue of Ayurveda into a dialogue and into community support. Why do I call it a monologue? Is that very often you find companies and product services and all, they all sort of talk down about what is Ayurveda to everyone. But the conversation coming from the health seekers and the students, conversing with Ayurveda, that loop is not closed. And the world is changing rapidly. And we need to have this dialogue to be able to further the potential of Ayurveda for the health and well-being of society. The second reason is that I want the health seekers of Ayurveda to learn truly about what Ayurveda can do. For the clients and the students of Ayurveda to learn how to think like a Vaidya. For the advanced Ayurveda practitioners and Vaidyas to wear the hat of the master rishis of Ayurveda. And for the profession of Ayurveda itself to get integrated into contemporary health systems. I truly believe that we can do all of this and we can achieve all of this if we are together. The third reason for the Sangha is to tap the true potential of Ayurveda beyond the current promotional perceptions. What you're seeing out there presented as Ayurveda is truly the tip of the iceberg. And I say this despite seeing this plethora of e-commerce ventures and schools and talks and webinars and everybody trying to scratch the surface of Ayurveda. The third reason also includes raising ourselves to derive more from both, from our own selves by applying Ayurveda, and to expect more from the profession of Ayurveda. The third is to support the profession, to enable it to become a guiding light for public health. How do we do that? This is a mammoth task, but it is possible. It is very easily possible for us to do if we put our minds to it. We are currently living in a post-COVID world with extensive health crisis, mental health challenges, chronic diseases only increasing in number. And when Vaidyas like me practice, we have some people we make some cross-sectional assessments, then they go back home to their own life. They are still trying to grapple with all the information and make decisions for themselves. And sometimes it is not possible. And I really want to be there to handhold, not just through me as me, Vaidya Nami, but through me facilitating a platform for other experts and other Vaidyas and other kindred souls to come together to be able to make the connections. So that truly makes us go into the next part of what is Ayurveda. And I want to spend some time reflecting on the perceptions that currently exist. And the presentation which I've made, which I can't show you, I have an elephant with 6 blind men who are trying to touch the elephant and say that, oh, is it about panchakarma and detox and spring cleanses, or is it about herbal medicine and plant-based medicine or natural medicine, or is it about eating khichdi and spices and Prakriti-based foods? Is it about knowing your Prakriti? Is it about having certain dietary regimens and daily lifestyles that you subscribe to? It's about, or is it about austere living and veganism and sattvic living alone? What is Ayurveda? Ask yourselves. I had asked myself this after 10 years of being in Ayurveda in India, after doing my MD, after seeing a lot in the medical aspects of the clinical care of Ayurveda. And especially when I was at the cusp of trying to integrate it with the health systems. When I really dug deep and I looked at the definition back again, there is this definition which is there from the Charak Samhita, and that is hita hitam sukham dukham ayuh tasya hita hitam manam chitaccha yatra oktam ayurveda sa uchyate. That's how Ayurveda defines itself. Now these Sanskrit words, they have been translated in many different ways, and nobody truly can explain what it means in a way that makes sense completely. And there was one segue that I had come upon when I meditated on it as a sutra, and that is what I want to present to you right now. And the common translation for it, I have picked it up from the web, from one of the very authentic Samhita translation resources that is there, and I will share this presentation in the Sangha group later on for any one of you who wants to see. And it says that Ayurveda is that which deals with the good, the bad, the blissful and the sorrowful life, and with what is wholesome and what is unwholesome for it, longevity, and about what Ayu life is in itself. This is a good attempt at the translation, but it is not there. In my presentation, I have 4 boxes. One is so what Ayurveda says is that there are 4 kinds of lives, and these 4 boxes are: first, a joyful and a comfortable life; second, distressed and an uncomfortable life; third, life beneficial for society; and fourth, life detrimental for society. It is hitayu, ahitayu, sukhayu and dukhayu. These are the 4 types. And I have sort of, very loosely translated what these mean. When you see the descriptions, the detailed description of these 4 kinds of lives, these are the 4 things that it boils down to. That means that you can live your life, you can be having a joyful and a comfortable life, or you can be having a distressed or an uncomfortable life. And this is actually the result of your past actions. And actions are not limited to what this birth actions, but also past birth actions, and that's another dimension that Ayurveda does get into. But it definitely has a lot to do with this birth actions, what choices you are making today. And where are you investing your energy? So that is about life beneficial for society or life detrimental to society. And that's the result. And that is the karma and the actions that you're building on today, now on. So from these four kinds of lives, whatever you wish to live, however you wish to live, when you make a choice, that choice, is it beneficial for a certain kind of living, or is it detrimental for a certain kind of living? And what is the measure for that? How beneficial is it, and how detrimental it is for a certain consequence? The place where the measures of that are put together, the science which puts together the measures of all of that, that is Ayurveda. So it is an encyclopedia of the effects of the choices that we are making. Does that make sense? It is an encyclopedia of the effects of the choices that we are making. And it is not just effects in terms of qualitative good or bad, but also how good or how bad, or how intensely does a decision impact a certain consequence. So with that definition of Ayurveda, when I understood it and I presented it at the Vaidya-Scientist Fellowship to one of the topmost Sanskrit scholars in the country, the Vaidya-Scientist Fellowship was a fellowship to advance Ayurveda, the science of Ayurveda, to help it mainstream. And we had the collection of the most amazing minds from all over India who came together to teach 15 students who were carefully selected from across India. And in those discussions, the Sanskrit scholar who had come, Professor M.A. Lakshmi Tatacharya, he was the one who endorsed my understanding of the definition of Ayurveda, and we broke it down further to say that it is the cost, benefit and risk of the choices that we are making. That's what we need to focus on, the cost, benefit and risk of the choices. There's another dimension and measures in terms of what is the math in Ayurveda? And there is a lot of math in Ayurveda. We need to find it and use technology to address it. And I have multiple ideas for that. But that is a conversation for another time. I want us to sort of focus more on how do we understand cost, benefit and risk of a decision in Ayurvedic terms, right? So when we are making a choice, we are dealing with substances, and substances in Ayurveda are called as dravyas, and there are 9 dravyas. There are the 5 elements. They're the mind, the spirit, time and geography. These are the 6 elements which are actually guiding, which are actually involved in our health decisions. So we need to understand the nature of these. And when we put 2 and 2 together, we make different combinations of them. There's a nature of the substance that generates out of that. And we need to understand the nature of that substance as well. And the people who study Ayurveda, they get into all of these details, and they help to understand cause-effect relationships, and they help to understand what should then be the priority that we need to go towards. So that gets into the next stage about why are we trying to study all of this, right? Why does Ayurveda try to study this? And for that we have 2 goals of Ayurveda, which are promote health, promote health and manage diseases. But there's also a third segue that I have added in, and that is prevent disorders. So between promote health, prevent disorders, and manage diseases, we have to understand which is the landscape that we will work on. And I have a very beautiful graphic which you can't see, but that helps to put everything together and shares how things begin with promote health, the principles that are going to be entailed within promote health, and how do we use them to adapt towards for prevention of disorders and management of diseases, and who is responsible for those actions, and how do you seek help when you are at a certain life stage. Thus, Ayurveda has been crafted as a timeless, expansive, global template for healthy living and disease management. By design, Ayurveda itself is integrative, and it can embed into any society. It can get extended into for any health offering, and it can be applied for any life problem or life transition. With this amazing template, we can use it to begin the implementations in our life. I wanted to share this theoretical construct with you because we need to be on the same page as to which aspect are we talking from, and we need to be able to communicate that well with each other. Otherwise, we will go down a road where it is just about seeking tips. Oh, how should I do that? Or how can I do this better? But you don't see the grand scheme of things. If we don't see the grand scheme of things, we don't know why we are doing a certain thing and how impactful is a certain choice. Okay. So with that introduction to Ayurveda, I'll open up to conversation and discussions, and do let me know any questions you might have so far. Hi Kelly, hi Evo, Bhakti, Ricardo, Suchitra, Sandra. My volume is very low, is that right? Is my volume low? Okay. Sounds okay to you? Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so any questions? Any questions? No questions about the definition of Ayurveda? Does it all make sense? Is it all clear? Okay, so let's move on to Bhakti's question. Okay, and Bhakti had asked right at the start to talk a little bit about malabsorption in Ayurveda. And malabsorption truly is one of the culminating points for a lot of Ayurvedic theories. And I always do like to think about understanding of biology from a perspective of understanding the imbalances first. Okay. So the understanding of imbalances and pathology tells you how things are when they are not, how things are when they are working, because only when something is not working well, you can know what it does when everything is hunky-dory, right? So, for malabsorption, it is described as a disease in Ayurveda, and it is called as grahani. And grahani is described in Charak Chikitsa, the chapter 15th. And if anyone who wants to go into the depth of it must read that chapter, because that is the chapter that actually talks about Agni and Ama in such a fundamental way, and that has been the guiding chapter that puts everything together for digestion. So when you say malabsorption, what it means is that the nutrition that you are putting in, it's not getting absorbed, right? And this occurs as a disease, or it can occur as a disorder, or it can occur in seemingly healthy states as well, when there has been a mismatch. So when it occurs as a disease, it is actually the organ of grahani, which is the duodenum to the small intestine. That is the one that is affected, that is physically affected. There are actual physical organic changes that occur in the gut in that section that do not allow nutrition to be absorbed. Why does this occur? So Charaka says that grahani occurs because there has been long-standing indigestion. So it is ajirna, and the word for long-standing indigestion is called ajirna. And chronic ajirna, which means that for a long period of time, the food that you're putting in, it is not getting digested, and it is leading to some sort of a residue or some sort of a physical impediment in the pathway of the food through the gut. And that ajirna can be recognized by multiple ways, and there are different signs and symptoms of that. If we are able to take care of that, then grahani is not formed. Okay? If we are able to recognize the ajirna signs, grahani does not get activated, or it doesn't go down the pathological path where it increases. When it is actually a disease, you need to have a lot of specific herbs and specific formulations that you need to take, because that disease also is now leading to its own consequences in terms of nutrition and malnutrition in the body, impacting the tissues, impacting energy, impacting the moods, impacting the mind. So it has its own territory that we need to focus on. And if it is a disease, I would suggest that you definitely have to work with a Vaidya to resolve it. Now, when it is in the pre-disease state, and otherwise also if you want to just understand some tools of Ayurveda that you can use to manage the disease, we need to focus a lot on ajirna, and there are amazing resources which are available for us to tackle it. When does ajirna form? Ajirna forms because there is ama. And when ama builds on day after day, meal after meal, that's when ajirna starts becoming more and more chronic. Now, what is ama? I'm preaching to the choir here because I know a lot of you are already students of Ayurveda, so I don't need to get into the details of it. And I have already done different talks on it. But on a snapshot, we have to understand that ama is a physical consequence of inappropriate food eating patterns, and in terms of the amount of food we eat, in terms of also the timing of the food when we eat, also in terms of the combinations with which we eat, the state of mind in which we eat, all of these factors, they contribute to ama. So these factors which are there, which are contributing to the generation of ama, those are the ones which are actually to be recognized and to be used on a regular basis for ensuring that there is no ama generation. And when we are in a mind frame for that, when we are in a mindset of that, that will enable health promoting choices that we are making on a day-to-day basis. And how do we recognize that ama? How do we assess that ama? There are a lot of tools that you can use by going to learning from an AWC or an AWP or online. Okay, so I would request you to really educate yourself about ama and ensure that you're doing everything in your power to mitigate it, because that is the most important factor to prevent not just malabsorption and grahani, but a lot of other chronic disease conditions. It is the root of a lot of diseases. So I do see that, people who have learnt about it, have heard about it, they see it in theory, but in implementation there is a big gap. And that gap we have to fill, and that is the first step for self-healing. Okay. So are there any more questions? Bhakti, do you have any more questions about grahani and malabsorption? Do you want to ask any particular question? Okay. All right. So I'll move on to the next questions that were actually asked to me in the group. And give me a moment. There were a few specific questions that had come in. There is a page, there is a Sangha page, okay, for everyone to join if you wish to continue in the conversation. I'm a little clunky with Facebook currently. I'm gonna get better. Okay, yes, I found it. So okay. Now we have Sarita ji's question, which I'm going to actually take up next time. She asked about the Ayurvedic understanding and perspective on cancer, and it is so prevalent and so dreaded, and understanding it intuitively through the lens of Ayurveda may give us more tools to deal with it. That's absolutely crucial for us to address, Sarita ji, because they say in about 10 years, 50% is a number that is anticipated to experience cancer at some point of time. I'll take up some more light conversations this time about another one that says that I'd love to understand about sugars coming from fruits and how to incorporate them in a balanced way in our diet. And that's Neha's asking that, and I think that fruits. One of the best ways in which we can incorporate fruits is in combination with nuts, okay? Because fruits and nuts, it makes a whole mixture, and it doesn't allow sugars to spike in individuals who have a good strong agni and who have a certain risk for developing cardiometabolic conditions, okay, for whom the glucose insulin pathways are not working very optimally. They can use sugars in combinations with good quality soaked nuts. That's one of the pathways, one of the hacks, okay? And eating fruits alone is ideal only in the morning and not at night or during the daytime. And eating fruits alone is a great way to help people who do not have a lot of hunger, but they really need the energy, okay? So hunger and energy demand in the system, this is a complexity that we need to begin understanding when we are making our food choices. So fruits are very easy to digest, therefore they can be eaten alone when the agni is very less, because they have the ability to release energy easily. They will help to nourish and get through the next few hours, right? Next couple hours. They also are rich with antioxidants, so that's good to, they help with a lot of anti-inflammatory properties, etc. Now, all fruits are not made alike also. So, when are you using a papaya, or when are you using a banana, or when are you using a watermelon, and when are you using an apple? All of these aspects then go down into the details of the nature of the substances itself. And what I use for what I use for people who have asthma and need to settle their gut, you go to fruits like papayas. When you want to increase you want to stabilize the gut, for example, in cases like grani, using pomegranates really helps. When you just need pure energy and the agni is low, you would use apples and pears. When you have good agni and you need some energy and good quality nutrition, you would use a banana. When would you use black grapes? Black grapes you would use when people want to increase their appetite or settle and cool down their gut, and help to reduce pitta. Green grapes are not recommended for the same reasons, okay? Black grapes have some of those properties more than the green grapes. So you see that fruits as a spectrum. Also, there are different ways in which we can think about fruits and then use them as ingredients. And then once you know the properties of that, then how you combine, whether you're combining them with some chia seeds, or whether you need to you want to bulk it up and put some nut butters with it, or whether you want to put some soaked nuts with it. All of those things, those decisions then become Agni-based decisions. Okay. So I hope this answers your question to some extent, Neha. And I don't know if you're still here. The next one is about Dipti. She asked about how to make Ayurvedic practices a part of daily lifestyle. And what are the simple things everyone can adopt and benefit from? This is a very good question, Dipti, and it's very crucial that we talk about this, because I think as a Vaidya, I do see that when anyone comes to me, I want to not add to their plate of to-do lists by saying that, hey, you're doing so much in life, now you need to go and you need to go and do this also, then it is Ayurvedic living. That's not the point. The point is that we have to somehow find a way to manage our energy and and ensure that the choices that we are making on a day-to-day basis are allowing us to live with energy and enthusiasm throughout the day. We should not have, lapses of energy, breakdowns, and we should not have like sudden drops of energy or feeling fatigue at the end of the day. That is our primary focus. That should be our primary focus. So we need to be very actively understanding the state of our body, what it needs, the state of our mind, what it needs, the state of our spirit, what it needs. Because some activities, they seem like so tedious and so effortful for some people, but they're absolutely effortless for some others, because they are wired that way, they are designed that way, and they run on that. It is their sense of purpose, and it comes from that. So what we need to do is that we need to get into a self-reflective mode, and we need to get into an analytical mode for what are the activities that are actually draining my energy right now, and remove those practices from your life. Remove those thought processes from your life. If you ask me, that will be the first step, first advice I would give you for your daily practice. Identify a process or a practice or a thought or a need that you don't need, that you don't need to feel spent in. And then find one such practice or one such connection or one such activity that you feel absolutely enthused to do. We don't allow ourselves this time and space to do that. And we're constantly told to do this and do that and go there and listen to this and buy this and learn and remember to take this, and then feel guilty that we are not able to do it. All of that is not needed. It's absolutely not needed, because health and a state of well-being is not dependent on what we do externally for health. It is dependent on how we do what we choose to do. Because we must tell ourselves and we must own that whatever we are doing, it is our choices. No one is compelling us to do it. You don't have to do anything. When you start from that place of contentment and self-contentment and Atma Santushti, you realize that so many of these actions that we choose to do, which are a part of our responsibilities and part of our addressing our insecurities about the future, all of these are man-made constructs. And when we withdraw, we really find so much abundance. And it is through that abundance we can do the choices. We can make our choices. And there are choices that we make to nourish ourselves, to take care of our homes, of our lives, of the people we love. And then if we have some more bandwidth, we go out there and extend a hand to someone. this understanding of health not being dependent on anything external is a highly Eastern concept, and a concept that is direly needed to be spread in the world today. Because we are really filling up our lives, our closets, and our drawers with more and more things and to-do lists, and our filling up our calendars, right? So please reflect on this, and we will take some of these concepts in more and more detail, because I really want to initiate self-healing through these series and talk about what Ayurveda says about self-healing. What do yoga and Ayurveda say about self-healing? And I want to tell you stories, and I want to tell you means of doing it, share means of how people have done it. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes more. Can I see? Okay, any more questions? Thank you, Suchitra, and thank you, Nancy, Mona. I really hope that, all of you are practitioners. And if you may learn from me, is when people come to you, how do you make them feel lighter? Ask yourself that. How do I make this person feel lighter? And there's such amazing intuitive wisdom that comes, that all of us have within us. We don't need to go out there. But once we begin walking that path, and we knowing that we are enough, at some point of time, we get into this point, they say that, hey, yes, this is what I understand and know, but then this is the boundary of what I know. And how do I do this better? Who do I ask? How does this become better? And that's when it becomes a self-generated pursuit of learning. And that's when self-learning initiates. And then once you develop more and more experience, you learn about the hows, and then you're able to share them with more and more people. Okay, so I can maybe take on one more question now that there isn't anything else live coming. Let me take up Deepti's second question. She's asked all very poignant questions. Also, ideas and simple daily food habits that are healing, nourishing, and how to make meals work for family members with different food types. I know, right? It's ridiculous that we have to sort of cook for different Prakritis, right? Okay, so I have worked a lot on this, and I think that I'll sort of give you the creme de la creme. And that is that, first of all, you don't need to cook different foods for everybody. We do definitely need to cook meals that are timely. That we do not go to the kitchen when we are hungry to begin cooking. I would say that, we need to have our next meal executed and our next to next meal hopefully planned. Okay. I would like to say that we should and we must strive to create the most amazing lunches for ourselves and show up hungry to eat them. Breakfast doesn't matter. Matters secondary. It is lunch that matters the most. I would also say that we must try to have meals that, in general, if there isn't anybody very sick in the house, or has a decent, or in general, if everybody has a moderate amount of Agni, try to ensure that you have a more proteinaceous, heavy lunch. Okay, with enough vegetables, and prepare it with some amount of liquid or a soup or a dal. So that's why we had the dal and the vegetable format. That was very good, because you do want to have 50% of your stomach filled with solids, 25% with liquids, and 25% empty. That is a rough guide. Okay. And I know that a lot of us eat solids up to 80 to 90%. When you eat food like that, that becomes one of the bases of generating ama. So the prescribed generic format is this, the solid food, liquid food format. What you choose, whether you choose, when you're choosing a protein is not just a protein, because a protein, like the fruits that I described, they're also heavy to digest or light to digest. So there's a whole spectrum in it. Okay. And I'm currently at the clinic. I'm making tools that will help to educate with integrative Ayurveda nutrition, and we'll be able to help people make better and better recipes with the ingredients that match with their Agni states. Okay, it's a complex undertaking, but it's something I'm attempting to do. But that's all for Vikriti, for Prakriti and for Swasthya, right? We need to, if these are the few high level principles which really will help us all if we are able to instate them as a practice. Find out hacks, how are we going to instate them as practice, and then we will be able to share them with others. One hack that I have to make this better is, pre-soaking beans and working with my vegetarian protein food preps, right? So pre-soaking them to ensure that they are more digestible, and they're also ready to cook, easier to cook when I'm ready to temper it. That's what makes a difference. Also, I do use a lot of the South Indian food formats to incorporate dals, because after some point dals become very boring to have every day. So making dosas and so many amazing amazing food formats, they exist, and food formats actually exist all over India. So it's nice when you have the time and the energy and the luxury to experiment. We must take it to the next level in that way, although most of us don't. That's why we need each other to keep giving each other ideas. Okay, so with that, I want to sort of move on to the next aspect that I wanted to share with all of you, and that was, there are a few things that I'm developing here at my Ayu.Care clinic, and I wanted to share that Ayurveda itself is integrative in nature, and because it can integrate in so many different formats, right? And I'm hoping that we can also make it functional. And I consider functional Ayurveda to be the version of Ayurveda that we can apply for individuals right away, that we can begin our journeys, that we can help others begin their journeys. And I'm going to call this series as self-healing through integrative and functional Ayurveda. That is going to be Shifa. Okay. And what will Shifa do is it will help us ace energy management, such that we have a long sustained flame to drive and to thrive in life. Not just survive, but to drive and to thrive. How do we channelize Ayurveda to do that? To create energy for us, We need to channelize Ayurveda to create energy for us. Okay. The methods that I have, the method that I'm working on right now, it's an right method, and that is it's called the right method for self-healing. That is assess, respond, investigate, prioritize, and evolve. And through the series of these sanghas or through other formats, I will share and I will teach these to people so that we are able to return to the wisdom of the self, and we are then able to reconstruct our life from there. I have some initiating resources for Shifa, for the self-healing of integrative and functional Ayurveda. The first resource that you need is literally nothing but a notebook, a pen, and a present reflective mind for 30 minutes, where you sit and jot down what are the things that are dragging you down and what are inspiring you. And that should be that is the first piece that we plug in to take it further. The second resource is something that I'm developing on a digital health platform called Healthy, and some of you already on my mailing list might have gotten it. And that is Ayu.Care's digital health platform. And it will, once you sign up for it, I have a form called as Your Health, a Bird's Eye View. You can use it as a template for your journey ahead, and you can then, I intend to build more resources in that tool as well. And you can use it as a way to track all aspects of your health, your labs, your metrics, your goals. You can set goals for yourself also in that, and it will put everything together. And then you can use that to work with any care provider that you're working with as well. You can just share your portal and you can ask them for advice. And if you need to find somebody, all of this is meant for people who are not in Ayurveda already, but I want to share that, there are trained AWCs, Ayurveda wellness counselors and wellness practitioners who are there brimming in the country by now. And they are amazing people, the kindest, most empathetic and resolute individuals I have found. And, work with them. Use their abilities and their resources to help you in their journey. Reach out to them, because I'm sure that all of them are just ready and waiting to help others. And if you want to formally study Ayurveda, you can look for resources on the websites of NAMA, of the National Ayurveda Medical Association, or California Association of Ayurvedic Medicine. And to support all of this and the profession, right, I would say that, once you begin your own journey, try and identify one individual with whom you can share the light that you've experienced with, right? Handhold and be with them, because these days Ayurveda has become all about self-care, right? Now self-care is very individual, it's very isolating. It is even more isolating in this whole world that we've created for ourselves. It's a very lonely journey, self-care. We need to change that, because Ayurveda is not designed to be self-care and ignoring everybody else. And people benefit by care of each other. So learning how to take care of yourself and then support someone, it is a very crucial art that we have to learn, and then we have to share with the future generations as well, because otherwise we will lose it. Second, if anybody wants to help me in my Sangha activity, I know some of you have reached out to me. I'm particularly looking for skills with someone who can help me edit videos and, help to share on social media, etc. If any of you want to help me dedicatedly for the next 2 to 3 months at least, if you think you can spare 2 hours a week, then please reach out to me. 2 to 3 hours a week, that would be great. Third, if you want to become members, volunteer, or donate for the profession, then please look up the California Association of Ayurveda Medicine. I'm the education chair there, and there is a donate button that's there. And join it as a member, as a professional member, allied member, or do donations, how much ever you feel comfortable with. I'm asking for donations for that work that we are doing. I'm very excited and thrilled that we are having the first state organization for Ayurveda health professionals, and we hope to streamline it for the future. And to engage further with the Sangha, I would request you to please join the Facebook group, the Sanghas with Vaidya-Nami, so that we can have more coherent discussions there, and I'm not posting on 10 different places. So that would really help and to spread the word. Okay, so with that, I think we are at the end of the hour. And Nancy says, could you clarify the most efficient way to assess Agni, which is fundamental in order to proceed with the protocol design? Nancy, excellent question. And I do see mostly so many people grapple with this, but it is not a conversation that we have that I can do simply in a Sangha. I think that I need to address it more systematically. And I think that we can begin with Ama assessments and then Agni assessments, and it's slightly more complex, but I'm going to design resources for us to do it, okay, because they are important for self-healing. All right, so with that we end the hour, and I'll see whoever I see back again on next Thursday. This is going to be bi-monthly. Do share and spread the word, and if you sign up on my website, if you look for a link for join our health ecosystem, you can get access to the healthy, and you'll be on my mailing list, so you'll know more about the Sangha and about more and more events that we'll do together. And with this, I hope to sort of get this into a movement where we are beginning to come together outside of our homes, our heads, and work with our hands and our hearts to share Ayurveda.